streaming live now. Good morning, everybody. I know that students are joining us remotely today. This is often a really exciting time of year where we get to welcome our newest members of the campus community to campus, seeing a lot of students in person. Things are looking quite different this year, but we still have a really great opportunity to still welcome our new campus members, our new Falcons, with just as much enthusiasm as we always do. My name is Jason Smith. I serve as the Assistant Dean for Retention and Student Success. The topic that we will be discussing today is academic success and remote learning. Before I move forward, I just want to let everybody be aware that we are recording, as all of the orientation sessions will be recorded. And so our topic today, this is a topic that we would often cover during orientation, and it's just going to look a little different because we are in different circumstances. Our goal for this conversation is to talk about how we can assist you and how you can assist yourself in being successful this semester. Now, success as a college student has a lot of different components, and we recognize that. And we'll be talking about that in different sessions of orientation and throughout your first year as well. But today we're really going to focus on academic success. And more specifically, we're going to talk about how to be a successful student in a remote learning environment. As many of you have seen your schedules, you will have courses with varying modalities, and so we want to prepare you to be successful in each of those varying modalities. If we could go to the next slide, please. And I'll have the panelists introduce themselves. If we could go just from left to right on the screen.
Hi, everybody. I'm Nicole Shalanis. I'm the Director of Digital Learning.
Hi, I'm Laura Garofoli. I am a professor of psychological science and the coordinator for the first year experience program.
Hello, I am Kat McClellan. I direct the Academic Coaching and Tutoring Center.
And again, my name is Jason Smith, and I serve as the Assistant Dean for Retention and Student Success in the Office of Student Success. Go to the next slide. So just some logistics regarding our time together today. As I believe I already mentioned, students are joining us via Google Stream, which means we unfortunately can't interact with you in real time through this conversation. But what we do have is an opportunity for you to submit your questions through a Google form. The link was sent to you along with the link to this stream. So if you enter your questions through that form, they will then be put into our Google chat here so that we can see them. Thank you to the staff and OSD for reviewing those questions and putting them into the chat. And I would also like to share that we have Jennifer Abbott from the Academic Coaching and Tutoring Center who will be monitoring that chat and just making us aware. We will most likely be reserving a lot of the questions towards the end. We have about an hour and a half together today. Our presentation will certainly not take that much time, so we will reserve a lot of the questions for the end. Okay. As I already mentioned, this event will be recorded, and the link to this recording will be available to you on the orientation website, which is going to be really critical because we have some really great links that are going to be helpful for you in terms of actual resources for you, but also ways to communicate with the folks on this panel, and also the support resources and services that we'll be referencing. So first, we're going to be talking about some of the available resources to you on campus that you can be accessing virtually as well. So again, our focus here is on comprehensive academic success and making sure that we're coupling that with how to be successful in a remote learning environment. So what we have here are the links to and contact information for many of the resources and centers that you're going to want to familiarize yourself with. And again, this is going to be recorded. So you can always go back to this recording and look at and review the links so that you have the email addresses for each of these areas. And you can also visit the web pages of each of these respective areas as well. We can go to the next slide. And I think, Nicole, are you going to talk about?
Right, yeah. So most of your classes are going to interact with Blackboard, and we want you to know that we have 24/7 help desk support for Blackboard. You can call either the toll-free number or the 978 number and receive help. Also, you can send me an email directly if you have questions about how to upload a file in Blackboard, or how to do some of the technology things in Blackboard. If something's broken and not working, I suggest you go through the technology and support 24/7, or you can email helpdesk@fitchburgstate.edu. But if it's just a kind of a logistic question and your faculty member can't help you with it, or you haven't heard back from your faculty member, you're very welcome to send me an email and I'll try to help you with that. And we'll go ahead and make sure that my email address is in the resource links.
If I could add here as well, Nicole, I believe that students were sent an email with a link to a Google form, which will allow them to submit a request for a loaner Chromebook or a hotspot if students who are engaging in classes remotely off campus are having inconsistent access to technology or technology issues. They can be submitting those requests directly to IT, and they'll be communicated with how they can be provided some of those resources. So be on the lookout for that, and please feel free to reach out if you're unfamiliar with the email that I'm referring to.
And I just also, I'm looking at this Blackboard icon, and I'm remembering to mention that we do have a Blackboard app that you can download and interact with your classes on your smartphone. So if you haven't tried that, I do recommend that you go ahead and do that, because it's nice to have those reminders of due dates and so forth on an app on your phone. You're on mute, Kat, but I think it's your turn.
Yes, I was just trying not to talk over anyone, if you were still. So, hi, welcome. Again, I'm Kat. I direct the Academic Coaching and Tutoring Center. I hope that we will see you at some point this semester. I'm going to talk to you for a minute about SSC. So SSC is an application that you have access to that lets you make appointments with tutors, advisors, academic coaches. So it gives you a lot of control, right? You don't need to call us, wait for us to make you an appointment. You can just do it yourself. So it's called SSC Navigate. When you log in, it will say Navigate. They're changing the name. So first, you go to fitchburg.campus.eab.com. You log in with your student email, and that's your whole email with @student.fitchburgstate.edu, and you use your Falcon key password. So if you'll bear with me one moment, I'm going to share my screen with you again. I'm going to unshare and then reshare so that you can just see the login process. So a little cumbersome. Bear with me a quick second.
I think this is an opportunity for all of us to be practicing wait time as we embark on this semester with remote learning and coming to understand some of the logistics that we're all going to be experiencing in the next semester, and that likely some of you did in your last year in high school, or if you've transferred from a community college. So these are just some of those things that we're, as a campus community, coming to understand and kind of navigate together through.
Yes, thank you. We'll give each other a little bit of grace and understanding. So when you log in, oops, I'm trying, hold on a second, I am. All right, so you'll see a big blue button and it says Get Assistance. So if you click on that, if you log in, and I would encourage you to go ahead and log in right now, right? So just going to fitchburg.campus.eab.com and logging in with your full student email and your Falcon key password, just so you can go through the paces. I would encourage you to do this as well when we go back to Nicole and she talks about the Blackboard student site, right? So once you click on Get Assistance, you just choose which type of appointment. So if you want a tutoring appointment, you just click tutoring. If you want an advising or an academic coaching appointment, you just click advising. So let's see tutoring. You can choose which type of tutoring. Do you want help with writing at any stage of a project, including before you start, or do you want course-based tutoring? You do next. The location will always be academic coaching and tutoring. And then you would click through until you get a list of times. You can do exactly the same thing with an advisor or with an academic coach. You can schedule yourself. You will get an automated email that just tells you where to go. So for all those online appointments, it will give you the precise link to go at the time you should go. So you really can make appointments for yourself for a wide range of things. That having access to SSC and use of SSC is extremely useful, and it gives you a lot of power. So I would definitely encourage you to log in and poke around. You can go ahead and poke around. You can't really mess stuff up. The worst thing that you can do is accidentally make yourself an unintended tutoring appointment. So just log in and poke around and get comfortable with it. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the slides now and turn us over. No, I'm just going to unpresent, and then Nicole is going to move us forward.
And if I can hop in for a moment while we're transitioning, just so you guys know, a number of faculty use the SSC platform to schedule advising appointments when advising and registration is happening. So it's also a place where a lot of us keep our session notes. So during an advising appointment, we can put the notes in, and then we both have a record of what we talked about in case either one of us forgets anything. So signing into SSC early and getting used to it is really helpful because it can help you keep track of a lot of things all semester long, especially academic advising.
Okay, so you should be seeing my screen, which is showing Blackboard at the login. I hope that you have gone around and explored the website and poked around and found your way to Blackboard. If not, you can get there by typing blackboard.fitchburgstate.edu, or from the Fitchburg State homepage, you can go to students, current students, and then it'll be on the top of a list on that website. To log into Blackboard, if you have not already, you would use the same username as you use to get into your student email. So if it's Shalani, like mine, where you drop that last letter, or if you have a number in your student email, that's going to go in there as your username. Your password would be the same password that you have set for your email. Sometimes there is a small delay if you go ahead and change your email password. Your Blackboard password does not automatically sync immediately, so sometimes there's a brief delay in that. If you do run into password issues in Blackboard, go ahead and call that tech support number. They can reset your password for you. So I'm going to log in, and what I really want to go over for you in Blackboard is our student introductory course, which when you log in, you'll see all your courses right down the middle here based on term. And underneath that, you're going to see something that says no term assigned. And in that list, you'll see the student introductory course. The student introductory course is available. It's automatically put on every student's record that registers as a student at Fitchburg State. So whether you're completely face-to-face classes or fully online, you have access to this student introductory course. And what we did with this course is we put resources to show you how to use Blackboard and give you an opportunity to go in and play around in a zero stakes environment. So this is a free course. You are welcome to ignore the course. I hope that you don't. But sometimes I get emails from people saying, am I paying for this? Is there a grade? Does this affect me? No, it doesn't affect anything. It's just a resource for you that we hope you remember because we put in tips and tricks on how to be successful with online learning. We have the SSC navigation, how to make appointments, and some tutorials in there. When you first log into this, you'll also see under the faculty information, you'll see my contact information, as well as one of our librarians. And you'll be able to access our emails or phone our offices. And then any questions that you have about using Blackboard or that you have about doing research through the library. I'm sure as part of your orientation, you're going to be talking to some of the librarians or hearing from them. But you can always start with Linda if you have some questions about doing research through our online library resources. Once you get in and you start digging around in this menu, you'll see that Unit 1 covers kind of the basics of what your course content might look like. I'm actually going to hit this button over here that shows me Blackboard as if I'm a student. So you don't see all of the other menu options that I get as an administrator. So you'll see that your faculty might drop audio links right in. They might embed videos. Sometimes you'll see links to outside content. When you go into Unit 2, this is where we've given you the opportunity to go in and try uploading an assignment. We have videos for how to actually step-by-step go through. Some of your faculty members will use Turnitin, which is a authenticity checker. It might help you know if you're citing your sources correctly, making sure you're not, copying and pasting without citing those sources and using your quotations correctly. I believe we call it an originality checker, right? So that's Turnitin, and some faculty will use that, and you'll turn in your assignment. You'll see some feedback on how original your work is, and some of your faculty will then give you an opportunity to make some changes before you officially turn in that document. Other faculty won't use Turnitin, and you'll be able to upload assignments, and it will look more like this assignment tab here. Taking quizzes in Blackboard, your quiz links will look just like this, and you can just click right on top of this, and it just kind of gives you an opportunity to see what that quiz interface will do for you and you can do it right in here. And then we have a discussion board link, which takes you into a discussion board and allows you to post into this, again, no stakes discussion, so that you can see how to create one, how to respond to somebody, how to quote somebody. And we have a video dropped in there as well. And then finally, I wanted to point out that through the rest of this conversation we're having today, we're going to be talking about some online learning success tips. If you forget some of the things that we talk about today, we do have them embedded right here in this course. and as well as, you know, definitions of the synchronous and asynchronous and hybrid. We have some success tips that you can go that take you straight to our tutoring centers, amazing resources. Characteristics of a successful online student. I know we're going to talk a little bit about this. I recommend that you go through and read this and ask yourself, well, especially here at the bottom, does this describe you? And if it doesn't describe you, instead of worrying or getting anxious, we want you to just think, well, how can I put in some resources? How can I put in a structure that's going to help me? And then to know ahead of time that maybe you're a procrastinator, or maybe you're not great with time management. What can we do to help you? What can you reach out to the tutoring center? Can you reach out to me or to, you know, your advisor, and what can we do to put some supports in place for you? So I'm going to point one more thing out to you up here on the menu. The things that Kat just went over about the SSC, that's also right here. So if you forget how to make an appointment, you can come right in here and get a reminder. So again, that's the Blackboard Student Introductory course. It's right there on your menu. It should already be on your Blackboard menu. Please go in and feel free to play around with it and use it as a resource. And then I'm going to go ahead and close Blackboard. Can you see the slides on my screen? Great. Okay. So I believe that I'm turning this over to Dr. Garofoli, correct?
Yes, you are. All right. Is everybody able to hear me okay? All right, good. So one of the issues that you might be facing is this thing called the seats list. Okay, everybody's talking about the information's in the seats list. The seats list is not always the most intuitive, navigable resource that we have. In order to get there, you go to the registrar's website, and then on the right-hand side of the page, there is a list of links, and it's the seats list, of seats available list, okay? And you click on that, and you get to the seats list, and it gives you a whole slew of things that look like this, right? Now, you guys are probably noticing in your schedules things that look like this, all right? So on all of these slides, we have examples of what all of our course modalities are looking like in both the seats list, which is up at the top, and in your schedule, which is down at the bottom. So this first example is a fully face-to-face traditional class. Hopefully this is what all classes will look like from the spring forward, or at least next year. So you have your course number, this CRN, this is really important. That's a course registration number, and those are the 5-digit codes to registering for classes. So when people talk about CRNs, this number is super important. Your section number, the number of credits, and then LAS is, does the course count in the liberal arts and sciences general education curriculum? Prereqs, this is, are there courses that you have to take before taking the course that's listed in this line? This is the course title. And if you click on that, you will be able to get a course description. This tells you the actual number of students registered. This tells you the maximum number of students allowed in the course. And so you have a number that's left available. This is your faculty person. The dates is always the dates for the semester or the term. The days that it will meet. So Monday, Wednesday, we use R for Thursday. So it's MTWRF. All right. So this one's Monday, Wednesday, 9:30 to 10:45. The course will meet in Percival 107. And if you click on that link over there in the seats list, you get brought to the bookstore, and the course books should populate for you. Now, in your class schedule, what ends up happening is you get a slightly different look. So we're on the hybrid A course right now. So hybrid A for us means that you are going to meet one day as a whole class face-to-face, and then the other day will be accounted for with online activity. Please be aware that all of these other formulations besides fully face-to-face are going to look slightly different depending on the faculty member, okay? So I
accidentally advanced the slide one. Do you want me to go back to face-to-face?
Yeah, In fact, just for one quick second, thank you very much. And so what you see is you have the same information that's up in the seats list, but it looks a little bit different down here, okay? And it's not a real problem when it comes to the fully face-to-face classes. Where it can get tricky is comparing with the other modalities. So you can go ahead and advance now, Nicole, thank you. All right, so we already talked about how this means that you meet 1 day a week face-to-face, and then you have a portion online. So what this looks like in your schedule is this information right here. So you get 2 lines now. The information here is the day and time that you will be meeting with your professor, and then this portion down here that says class TBA. This does not mean that your class is not scheduled. It simply means that the way that that's going to run is going to be determined by the faculty member, okay? And so this is a description of, look, we're going to be face-to-face 1 day a week, and then the other day of the week, the faculty member is going to make that determination, okay? So we can go ahead and move on to hybrid B, please. And you guys don't have to worry about like A, B, C, just listen to your faculty members, okay? It's really just a way for us to organize for ourselves and our thinking. All right, so here's another course. Again, we've got our course number, our registration number, section, credits. This has 2 lines again because you've got some face-to-face meetings and also an online component. Well, there's 2 days meeting. So hybrid B splits the class in half, okay? And you can see that down here in the schedule where you've got Tuesday, Thursday meetings from 2 to 3:15, but the way those meetings are going to run is that it's half the students each day. So your professors need to reach out to you about which half goes when. I've literally split my rosters according to the alphabet, so one half and the other half. But everybody has a different idea of how they're going to do it, all right? So hybrid C is a little bit different. And this one is a week on and a week off. So a week on in class and a week online, all right? And again, this might look a little different for each faculty member. And I know that that gets a little confusing, but when you get that information from your faculty, make sure you write it down. And if you're not clear, ask questions. It's our job to make sure that this is clear to you, because if we don't make it clear, we're kind of in a mess, right? So up here, this one I picked because this class actually has 2 different locations depending on the day. So I wanted you to be aware that that is a possibility. Some classes meet in one room 1 day of the week and one room another day of the week. So the way that this hybrid C course is going to go is that on Mondays, these students will be meeting in Percival 209. On Fridays, the students will be meeting in Percival 107. And then there's a hybrid component. So that means the online content. If you look down in the schedule, what you see is that this gives you the description of 1 week on, 1 week off. Your faculty members are going to make that determination for you. This could be, I've heard 2 different models. So I've heard full class, face-to-face both days the 1 week, and then all online the following week. I've heard half and half for the days, and then all online the following week. So again, really important that you look for communication from all of your professors. The next slide, please. So this one is an online synchronous course, and it looks exactly like a fully face-to-face class, except that when this says on sync right here, okay, instead of a course room, what ends up happening is you've got your course schedule 2 days a week, online synchronous, which means you're going to be meeting with your professor just like this, as if it was in a regular classroom, but we're doing it virtually. All right. And then the last one is a fully online course. And so fully online courses, you will see that there's no day and time, that it says online. And in your schedule, it says class TBA. I know that for some students, this has given a lot of anxiety, wondering, is my class even scheduled? Is it going to run? Yes, it just means that the way that the course is going to run is determined by the faculty member. So you want to make sure that you're keeping track of how all of your professors have designed their courses. And again, if it's not clear, please, please speak up and let us know, okay? So there you go. And I think that's the end of mine.
We do have two questions about class format while we're on this topic, if we want to address those. So one question was, what classes will be on Top Hat?
Okay, so I saw that question. So it depends on the faculty member, okay? I don't use Top Hat. I mostly use Blackboard, and I am incorporating some Google Classroom in as well, but it depends on your professor. So in my syllabi, I've linked any technology or platforms that students will need to use. Not all of your professors will do that, but your professors will make clear to you what you are to be using for your courses. If it's not clear, again, speak up, please. Never, ever feel like you can't ask a question. It's our job to make sure that you know what you're doing.
Great, thanks. And then one other question, of course, we've been talking about hybrid, on sync, in person, so not all classes are going to be online. So that answers the first part. But the student wanted to know if students have the option to take their classes online.
So the technical answer is we don't offer classes in multiple formats. So if your class is scheduled to meet in person in any form, then it will be that way. Different professors, though, might allow for accommodations to pipe a student in using technology if you need to stay fully remote. My recommendation to all of you is that if you have to be fully remote for the semester, you need to make that connection with your professor so that you can determine if that's something that's even going to be possible. Some courses, it's just not possible to do that because of hands-on activities or equipment or whatever that's necessary for you to be physically present for. But if that is the case and you need to swap your schedule, make sure that you seek out your major's department chair or your academic advisor if you know who they are, or you can always go to the Career Services and Advising Center in the Hammond Building to work with an academic advisor to help you modify your course schedule.
And I will just, to add on to that, Dr. Garofoli, this is another great place where you can take ownership over your own academic trajectory, and using SSC, the platform that Kat detailed for us, on your page, it'll have your success team there with links directly to their email. So right from SSC, from your page, you can go and find your success team, which again includes your faculty advisor, or if you are a pre-major student, it would have your advisor through the Career and Services Advising Center, CSA. But either way, you can click right on the link of your advisor and send them an email through that, and get in contact with them, share with them your circumstances, and be clear that you might need to make changes to your schedule. Please do not at this time pursue making changes to your schedule on your own. Okay, some of those classes are set very specifically to keep you on track to graduating. Decisions that you make now can impact long-term trajectory. So just reach out. We're here for you. If you're unsure of where to reach out to, even starting with, if you're an on-campus student, going to your resident advisor, reaching out to the folks who you feel most comfortable going to. But even if you just go log into SSC, as I mentioned, and go to your success team, just click that link and it'll get you in contact with your faculty advisor.
I always remind my students that you are not your advisor. I'm your advisor, right? So for my students, but your advisor has a job. We have a very complex curriculum, and it differs based on major and minor and all sorts of things. And, you have enough that you're trying to wrap your mind around right now. So don't try to take on something that's not supposed to be your job, all right? As advisors, that's our job to help you navigate the curriculum. So please take advantage of it. I saw another question about how do you know how a professor is running a fully online class? So we all have our own approach to how we do our online courses. For me, there's always work that is due weekly, just to keep you guys on track. But all of those details will be in Blackboard. And that actually reminds me of another point that I wanted to raise with you guys, is that if you don't see all of your classes in Blackboard yet, it doesn't mean that you're not enrolled. It simply means that your professor has not made the course site available. I am a perfectionist, and I try to make my classes look as pretty as possible, as organized as possible, and I'm a control freak. So my Blackboard sites don't tend to be opened up until like the last minute, because I'm constantly tinkering. So, you know, if Thursday comes and Thursday goes and you have an online class and you haven't seen a Blackboard site yet, you definitely want to reach out to that professor. And if you can't get a hold of the professor, the department chair. That information is on the website, but you can contact any one of us and we will be happy to help you connect with who you need to connect with.
Absolutely. I just want to jump in and say I get many emails on the first day of every term that the class hasn't been opened up yet. And usually by noon that day, it is open and you can find it. Sometimes it's just a matter of your faculty member has to click a button and they forgot that they had to click the button, and they will get in there and they will do that. So definitely do reach out to your faculty member via email, but you're welcome to contact me as well. And I can chase down the department chair if we need to.
Nicole, there are a lot of questions still about the seats list. Are you able to navigate away and go to the registrar's website and show them how to click on the seats list?
Let me see if I can do that.
There will be a video that's posted when this presentation goes online for people to view. There will be a video recording of navigating around the seats list. But in the meantime, this will help you guys to see what you need.
Usually I just type the registrar's page. Well, to be perfectly honest, I have a link to the seats list that I just save on my computer, so I don't have to go try to find it on the registrar's site because I always forget exactly where it is. It is right here.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Nicole, but be careful with just saving the seats list address, because sometimes it changes and it won't allow you to click it and keep it available. So if you go through the registrar's website and click on the seats list, you will always get the fresh link.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for the seats list, if you're looking at your schedules, they're probably here under day fall. We have several different terms here, and some of them are for our graduate students. GCE would indicate our graduate students. Online Accelerated is usually our graduate students. So day fall, you're going to look at, and then there's a couple different ways that you can search. Once you get in here, you can search by a last name, you can search by a subject, or you can just kind of scroll through and look down at the subjects here and your instructors' names over here. Was there? I don't know what the question was. Exactly.
So one of the things that would be helpful for students, especially if right now you're probably going to the seats list to look up your individual classes. And as Dr. Garofoli said before, one of the most critical pieces of you'll see on the seats list, if you're looking at the columns, you'll see the second one is CRN. That is the 5-digit number that's tied specifically to that section of the class. So if you could get that 5-digit number from your schedule, navigate the seats list through the registrar's office, make sure you click day fall. You always want to make sure you have that step. You don't want to look up a class in the wrong semester. And then up in that search bar, you'll just copy and paste that 5-digit number, and you're going to find the information for that class.
And be aware too that if you click on books and it says there are no books, that may not necessarily be the case. It may just be that the professor is linking to something that's electronic, or maybe there are no books for the course. They might be using an open source. So or it may be a glitch in the system as well. So you'll want to look for that information in the course syllabus from each of your professors.
Was there anything else you wanted me to show on the seats list?
I think we're pretty good for now.
Okay. While I have myself unmuted, I did see a couple of questions about the Blackboard site. It's blackboard.fitchburgstate.edu. If you have a password issue, you want to contact our technical support at 978-665-4500. They can reset that, or you can email helpdesk@fitchburgstate.edu. And I saw a question that asked how long the student introductory course would be there. It will be on your student record the entire time you are a student at Fitchburg State.
All right. So hi, it's Kat again. I'm going to talk to you about some characteristics of successful online students. But I do want to emphasize something that Nicole said earlier, which is that if you look at this list and you think, oh, I don't have all of these attributes, don't panic. You have lots of resources available to you. The Tutor Center can help you. We also have academic coaches. Academic coaches are there to help you with the more soft skills of academic success. So your time management, your goal setting, we're really here to help you. So I showed you SSC earlier, but you can also always email tutorcenter@fitchburgstate.edu. It's easy to remember, tutorcenter@fitchburgstate.edu, and we will help connect you to the resources that you need. So don't panic. So I'm just going to read this list and then I'm going to go on to the next slide. So people who are successful in online classes are often independent learners. They're goal-oriented. They're proficient readers and communicators. They're proficient in basic computer skills. They are able to set a schedule and stick to it. They're able to meet deadlines. They're not easily frustrated, which I think is a little bit hard for all of us right now, but we're all doing our best. We're comfortable in cyberspace, aware of etiquette, and responsible for your own learning process. So I'm going to go on to the next slide here. We're going to cover, or I'm going to talk about just a couple of those skills in a little bit more detail. But again, I want to encourage you to come talk to academic coaches who can help you plan all of this out. So goal setting. There are a couple of things that are really key in goal setting. One is just envisioning your long-term goal, right? College can be hard. It can be challenging. That's an extremely normal part of college. But sometimes when things are challenging, it's hard to keep at them if you don't have your long-term goal in the front of your mind. So keep that there. There's a reason why you're here. There's somewhere you want to end up, right? That's your motivator. Make sure that when things are hard, you have that clearly in your mind so you can pull that forward and use that to sustain you. Set semester goals. So start from your big goal. You know, I want to be a veterinarian, and work backward from that to what your semester goals are going to look like. Maybe there are specific classes that you will need to take, so you will need to make certain grades to get into those classes. Maybe there are clubs that you need to join to make the contacts that you need. Maybe you need to meet with career services. Right? Set yourself some very concrete semester goals and make sure that they are goals that are easy to tick off, right? You want them to be really concrete. You're like, I'm going to meet with career services twice this semester about internships because I know I need a good internship to get the job I eventually want. Well, you can tick that off, right? And that feels good. Like I did. I went once, I went twice, I met my goal. Well done, me. Right, so make sure that you've got goals that you can tick off because that feels good. And that is also very motivating. So specific goals can include also things like daily study time. Like I will sit down to study in a quiet place for 2 hours every day, right? Again, you can cross it off. And they can also be things that are not achievement oriented. Like I'm going to put my assignments in my calendar. Right. So just brainstorm, and again, the academic coaches can help you set those concrete goals if you want to make appointments with them. Another important thing is thinking about the obstacles to your goal. Like, do you tend to get distracted by your phone? Don't engage in magical thinking. Don't say, I tend to get distracted by my phone, but this semester, magically, I'm going to exert a lot of will and it's never going to happen, right? Because that doesn't work for anyone, right? It doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for you. It's not successful. So instead, think realistically about the obstacles you tend to encounter. Write them down and think about your plan. So I definitely get distracted by my phone. So what I do, I make a plan, and my plan is I have to put my phone in the other room in a desk drawer. So your plan can be when I sit down to study, my phone goes in my drawer, right? So specific plans to help you meet your goals. So again, these are things that our coaches can help you with, but these are just some practical tips for successful online learning. Nicole, could I have the next slide? Thank you. Set a schedule and stick to it. And again, these are things that are always important to learning and to success, but it's just that this semester they are so much more important. Right? If you're doing a lot of stuff online, it can be easy for things to kind of run together. So giving yourself a nice, clear schedule, both so you get your assignments done and also so you give yourself a break, right? If you're always in front of your computer, maybe you're like, my computer's already here. I'm just going to work 12 hours a day. That is not sustainable. So you need a schedule to hold yourself accountable, both for your schoolwork, but also for the things that you need in order just to stay alive as a human, right? Including eating and having a shower. So make a schedule, put your classes in it, and then put your study time in it. And schedule, the norm, the rule of thumb is to schedule 2 to 3 hours per hour that you spend in class. So you're spending a lot fewer hours in class than you're used to if you are coming here as an incoming college student, but you do need to schedule the rest of those hours around studying. When you schedule study time, give yourself specific goals, or you really can just get lost in like staring at your textbook for 2 hours at a time. So make a schedule and have your schedule include a lot of concrete stuff. Give yourself rewards, right, for those goals. Rewards are great motivators. Make study groups so that you're all holding each other accountable, but also helping each other and keeping each other motivated, right? So put these things in your schedule, but put some things also in your schedule that are going to help you do that, right? Don't try to plow through it alone. That's too hard. Plan for sleep, plan for meals, plan for fun, plan for self-care, like showering and doing your laundry, plan for commuting, plan for your errands, right? Make sure that you leave yourself enough time for the tasks of life. And then put all of these things into your calendar. Put them in your Google Calendar. So you all have a Google Calendar now. Your faculty also have a Google Calendar. It's great if we are all using the same calendar application, because then, say, a faculty member could, if you're like, I need to make an appointment with you, and then you can make an appointment request through your Google Calendar, and you can see when you're busy, they can see when you're busy, you can see when they're busy, right? It just makes life easier. So just put it all in your Google Calendar. Some people just prefer paper. Also, you can put it in your paper calendar. So all of you who are incoming students should have received or be receiving a paper planner with Fitchburg State dates in it. If you are a residential student, you will have received it when you moved in. If you are a commuter student, you will have received it or be receiving it in the mail. I'm sorry, we don't have any control over how quickly the mail goes, but you should receive one. So everyone's going to have a paper calendar with all the important Fitchburg State dates in it. So you can also just keep your schedule in there. Put in your assignment dates. Work backwards. So you have a big assignment. A lot of times you'll have big assignments, all that come at the end of the semester. So if you just put those final dates in your calendar, and then you get to a week before the end of the semester, and you're like, oh no, here are my assignment due dates. I have to do them all now. This is very hard. Don't do that to yourself. Put the assignment due dates in there, and then think realistically about how long does it take to do these things. and then break it down into steps, and then work backwards to plan that out for the semester. Maybe you have a 25-page research paper due on the last day of class. There are lots of tasks, and the tutor center can help you break this down. Library can also help you break this down. But come talk to a writing tutor about how to break your tasks down. Like, I'm going to decide on my topic. I'm going to have found 5 sources for my paper. I'm going to write my introduction. There are all kinds of steps. Break it down. Do yourself a favor. Start with your syllabi, look at your assignments, break them down, and then put those steps into your calendar so you stretch it out across the course of the semester and don't give yourself heartache when you get to the end of the semester. So again, these are just some basic introductory tips. That can help you, but really come talk to an academic coach about planning your semester. We've got so many good tips. Also, you can go to the Tutor Center website, and this link is also on the excellent Blackboard course that Nicole showed you. We have a lot of academic resources. So if you go to the Tutor Center website, so just go to Fitchburg State and search for Tutor Center, Academic Coaching and Tutoring Center. There is a page on our website called Academic Success Resources, and our academic coaches have made a number of incredible videos, time management, goal setting, overcoming procrastination. We all have procrastination problems, right? It's not just you. So make an appointment with a coach, but also just make use of those asynchronous video resources. And always remember, like, we're here to help you. So make an appointment or just email tutorcenter@fitchburgstate.edu, because everyone here wants you to succeed. College is hard and we want you to succeed. So make use of us because we are your resources. Now I'm going to pass you over to Dr. Garofoli, who's going to talk to you about executive function.
All right. So, just like all of the tips that Kat has given you, these are really just lists and some snapshot conversation about them. There's a lot that can be done. So please don't ever look at a list of characteristics, things that, you should be doing and think, well, I don't do any of those. I'm in big trouble here. Everyone can make improvements, and you do come to the table with some really good skills, and one of the most important things that you need to develop is an awareness of where you are and are not doing well. And so executive functions is one of those pieces. So what does executive functions mean? It simply means that, it's the ability to organize all of your thought processes. Okay, so attention, memory, ability to recall, your organizational skills when it comes to taking notes or recopying notes, the ability to, read and catch yourself if you are just looking at words instead of actually reading and understanding, recognizing that, there might be a better way to approach a task, right? You don't have to know how to fix it, but the first part of the first step in resolving a problem is recognizing and paying attention to where you're struggling. So one of the easiest things that you can do for yourself, and the hardest things, is recognize when you're not paying attention and get yourself back on track. So planning ahead is important. For me, I have a couple of Pomodoro apps that I have downloaded on my phone. My favorite is Forest. Not only is it an app that keeps me from accessing my phone without killing a tree, right? So if I pick up my phone and, stop the app, then it kills a tree. But there's also a browser extension that you can use in Chrome. And so no matter where I'm working, if I really need to focus, I can activate Forest, and it's very helpful. Planning ahead for the things that are distracting. And that's for both short-term and long-term pieces. So if you know that you tend to be distracted by television or your phone, even just set it aside, put it somewhere else. And that way you can't just easily look down and be like, I'm going to pretend I'm taking notes here, but I'm actually on my phone. So you can plan for those. Plan ahead for the distractions that will come, when you have an assignment to work on and your peers come along and say, hey, let's go do this, let's go do that, let's watch this. Plan ahead for things like the Netflix binge, okay? You want to make sure that you don't go down a rabbit hole. It's the same for, making sure that you stay on task, right? So if you recognize that you're off task, one of the easiest ways to put yourself back on task is taking notes. Make sure that you are taking notes from your readings. Make sure that you take notes in lectures. Make sure that you take notes in class meetings, from videos that are assigned. It's a really good way to keep you on task. And a great, easy way to study is to look back over those notes and, annotate them for yourself in a different color or rewrite them, reorganize them. And the academic coaches and tutors can give you all sorts of tips around all of those sorts of things. So, if you are paying attention to whether you're understanding or not, the next step of that, besides trying to, get yourself back on track, is asking questions. You have to make sure that you ask questions. Ask questions about the content. Ask questions about how you might be able to do something more efficiently. If your professors can't give you an answer, remember that we're content experts. I'm also a learning expert. I'm an educational psychologist. But a lot of times we weren't necessarily trained in how to teach students how to learn. And that's where the Academic Coaching and Tutoring Center comes in really handy, because these are individuals who are strictly dedicated to helping you acquire some additional skills to be more successful. And don't ever wait until you're fully in the weeds for that. If you even think there's a chance that you might be struggling, or you're just interested in being proactive and honing a few of your skills, access them now. Don't wait until you're in trouble. Okay. You can still go when you're in trouble, but don't wait. Okay. So one of the things that you really should be engaged in to help with your executive function skills is reflecting on how well you did at the end of a task. So at the end of a class, how well did I pay attention? During what pieces did I start to tune out? How did I do with, a partner task, a think, pair, share? How did I do with the reading or the taking notes? And, is there something that I can do a little bit better? Maybe you don't know if there's something you can do better. But if you have a product to bring to the Academic Coaching and Tutoring Center, they'll be able to help you better, right? So any student who comes to me, I studied for 6 hours and I still didn't do very well, I tell them, bring me everything that you used to study. I want to see, how are you going about this? Because I can probably help you, study a little more efficiently. So, the real key is paying attention to how you're doing. Pay attention to your attention, to how you're understanding something in the moment, to how well you're remembering. The worst thing you can do for yourself is try to cram everything in at the end. You are paying a lot for your education. Don't rent your education, okay? If you are, paying attention to something long enough to just dump it on a quiz or a test or into a paper, and then you're going to let it fly out of your head, then you're not buying your education, you're renting your education. So make sure that you're buying your education, buy in fully. Study in little bits every class. Just review your notes at the end of class. Skim a reading beforehand, so that you have a sense of what's coming in a classroom. And, if you're not certain as to, what's going to be handled for that class meeting, then, ask your professor, right? We're happy to tell you guys, oh, yeah, you can find it here in the syllabus. And some of us are, a little more, my syllabi are really detailed. So if there isn't enough detail, ask. Go ahead and ask, and tell your professors, I'd like to be able to preview before class. They'll be thrilled. So there are a lot of ways that we can get at improving your executive function skills. It's not your job to know how to fix it necessarily. It's your job to recognize that you might need some help, and then let us do the rest, of the guidance for you. Okay. We can give you guidance. You have to do the hard work to hone those skills. But let us help you with that. Jason, anything you want to add?
There is one thing that I want to add, and it's tied to what my colleagues, Dr. Garofoli and Kat and Nicole also have been talking about, you know, the characteristics of a really strong and effective online learner. And one of the realities that we're facing here is that, you know, I would imagine for a lot of you coming to college for the first time, you've been dreaming about what it means to be a college student. And it's maybe going to look a little different. And one of the things I can guarantee you that when, not if, you meet with an academic coach, they're going to talk with you about mindset and probably talk to you about something called growth mindset. And I would like to tie that concept to this idea of thinking about yourself as a student. You are a scholar in higher education. This is really exciting. And the fact that some of your classes, and maybe for some of you, all of your classes are going to be done remotely, should not impact you seeing yourself as a scholar and as a student at a university. So what does that mean for you in terms of, you know, executive functioning and the skills and characteristics of a remote learner? You need to establish your environment. I see two of my colleagues here. Now, part of this is probably because they're speaking on a panel right now, but two of my colleagues are joining us from home. And I really take note of how they've prepared themselves, even though they're remote. They've dressed for the day. I don't see either of them sitting on their bed right now. Choose carefully your environment that you are going to be learning. Set up as part of your schedule. If you have the luxury of being able to do this at home, I know that some circumstances are challenging right now. Some of your parents, if you live at home, maybe are still working from home. That limits the space that you have. We are expanding the space on campus available to students. We are opening classrooms and labs that are not typically open in these hours to provide additional space for students to be studying and doing their work. See yourself as the learner that you always imagined you would be once you started college, because we will return to normalcy at some point, and we really need you to hold yourself accountable in the meantime. So really be thinking about that and seeing yourself as a student and setting up your environment in a way in which that's conducive to your learning, and reach out for support through the coaches, the academic coaching and tutoring center, all of the links that we have in available in this presentation, and of course any of the panelists that you see here as well.
So this is the link that Kat was talking about for the academic success resources. So yeah, just follow that and you can gain access to a bunch of asynchronous content, videos, tips, suggestions, and then, you know, go ahead and make an appointment with a coach or a tutor for additional assistance. And I did see just now a question about scheduling appointments with tutors during your regular class times. Don't do that. Please. At that point, you're sacrificing your class to meet with a tutor, and it won't be productive.
Yes.
I just want to hop in real quickly because just in case the source of that question was, I looked in SSC just now, and I could look. Because our tutors are students, right? It's a peer tutoring session. We're still adding their shifts. So if you looked and you're like, I looked at my class, but there's only like 2 hours a week, that will not be the case. So you should have received an email by now, and the email will let you know, A, how to sign up, but B, tutoring will start being available on the 8th. So that's next Tuesday. So if you don't see things yet, don't worry, be available on the 8th.
And that's actually, you know, if you don't see anything from your professors yet, don't panic. Like me, I'm teaching, most professors teach 4 classes a semester. I'm teaching 5 right now. And they're all being prepared for online, which is a lot of work in different formats. And we want to make sure that everything is clear and well organized for you guys. And some of us are perfectionists and tinker to the last minute. If it is about when you attend, if it's a hybrid class, and you haven't heard from a professor yet, and that course is supposed to meet tomorrow or Friday, you probably want to email that professor and make sure you get the details on when you should be attending. So I wouldn't panic, but if it has to do with where you need to go when, really you should be you should have received some communication from your professor. So if you haven't, go ahead and reach out. Another question that I saw was about AP credit, and I'm going to throw dual enrollment in here as well. So if you have AP credits or dual enrollment credits for a course, and you are currently registered for that same course, yes, you can drop that class and pick up another one. You do not want to do that by yourself. Okay, so make sure that you are meeting with an academic advisor or a department chair to help you do that. In some cases, those credits have not come in yet, and so they don't show up on your transcript. But if we know that they're coming, so I'm going to use psychology as an example. If a student had dual enrollment credit and already took Introduction to Psychological Science, or they had AP credit for psychology, they don't have to take Intro to Psychological Science. That requires us to, but if those credits aren't showing up yet, that requires us to override a prerequisite for you to take a next course in the psych department. So make sure that you're working with an advisor or a department chair to make those sorts of changes.
We have a couple of other questions in the chat here. So one was, is there a standard citation format, or does it vary from professor to professor?
That varies from professor to professor. So as a psychological scientist, I require APA format. Your other classes will require different formats. The library has wonderful resources to help you with citation. You should always feel justified too in speaking up to your professors. If they're requiring a particular citation format and you're not super familiar with it, feel free to let them know that and ask them for assistance. You'll want to say, I will check out the library resources, but do you have any other, tips or tricks or sites that you would like me to use to help me learn about that citation format?
And the writing tutors can help you also.
Yes. Great. We also got a question about what if their class is on Top Hat and they want to drop that? Do they get reimbursed for that? I think that was the question. Let me try to, yes. Is there a way to get refunded if we enroll in Top Hat and then drop from that class?
Honestly, guys, I'm not familiar with Top Hat as a platform.
Not either.
So if you received information if you received information from a professor telling you to sign up for an account, and it's something you had to pay for, I think at that point that's not a Fitchburg State issue. So I would check with that professor specifically. Okay.
I saw a question about username and password for Blackboard. It's the same as your student email without the @student.fitchburgstate.edu. And the password should be your initial password for that email. And then after you change your email password, it will take a while to sync to your Blackboard. And if it doesn't sync, then please call that 24/7 help desk number.
And I believe, Nicole, we call that the Falcon key, right?
Perfectly honestly, when you go into Web 4, there's a different login than the other. And I always forget which one is the Falcon key and which one is not. But yeah.
Just so that when a student sees that verbiage and that language, we know that that means it's your email, but without the @student.fitchburgstate.edu.
All right, student asked, I called and had my stats class dropped and changed it for another required class because my AP stats scores are being sent. Is that okay?
I think it depends on your major. So if your major required stats and the AP credits coming in are for statistics, then it shouldn't be a problem. But you'll want to check with the department chair about that.
All All right. Do you know how to book a study room? I have online classes in between my in-person classes. When I'm on the site, it will state times that are like 9:30 p.m. to 9:40 p.m. Will that time frame allow for students to even go in the morning, like 9:30 a.m.? So how do you book a study room?
I wish we had a librarian with us because I don't recall what they said about study rooms.
I don't recall either. I would definitely reach out to the librarians because the study rooms are there and they'll be able to tell you what the schedule
Yes,
is.
we've included the contact information for the library. Please do contact them about that schedule. We have been able to make it so that computers are still available in the main library areas. Some of the study rooms are online differently than they have been typically. Some of them are actually offline just because of the size of those spaces. So please do reach out via that contact information for the library that we've included at the start of the presentation. Does that get us up to date, Jen, with the questions that we have?
Yes.
Okay. So I just want to refer back to the last slide of the presentation. No need to go back to it, but it just, it was calling for questions, but also saying this is going to be a great semester. I am with all of you students, and I'm assuming that you're feeling some kind of way about the fact that this is not going to look like perhaps how you imagined your first semester in college to be, as was your last year in high school. And I just want to reassure you and just note that it's been a pleasure working with my colleagues, both faculty and staff and administration, in reimagining what this semester and potential year can look like for you all. Be engaged in the campus community, hold yourself to a high standard, reach out for help and assistance. It is going to be a great semester, and we really are going to get through this as a campus community. I did see one more question come through. If you have a virtual class tomorrow, September 3rd, and the teacher hasn't sent any emails with a link, should I contact them? I see Dr. Garofoli shaking her head. Yes, please do reach out, and reach out while I'm saying this sentence. Go ahead and send an email. You can, as we mentioned, when you log into Web 4 to access your schedule, there's a link right there. Just as I said in SSE, there's a link right there to the faculty member's email. So you can click right there in that link. Same thing if you search through the seats list. One of those columns is the faculty members. Where their name is highlighted, you can click that and it'll direct you to their email address. Please do reach out to them and ask for assistance on what your class tomorrow will look like.
And check your Blackboard course.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Yes. Yep. So you will see Blackboard courses become available throughout the course of the day tomorrow. I've had moments where I've made a course available and it wasn't immediately available. It took 20, 30 minutes. So that may be a part of it. But if it's a fully online class, you don't have to be anywhere. Your first step is to open up that course. Hopefully they have a Start Here section in their course. If not, poke around and email them with questions. If it is an online synchronous course, then you should be receiving a link from them in email or in Blackboard when they make their course available so that you can meet like this with them. And if it's a hybrid, you really should have gotten communication from your professor about whether you need to be there or not yet. So if you haven't, just reach out. Any questions you have, just reach out. We don't mind.
Right. This is a good question. What would you suggest I do for a class that has a Google Meet and then 15 minutes after you have an in-person class in the McKay building?
So I'm sure Dr. Garofoli is ramping up to answer this question as well, I would just start by re-emphasizing there is space for you on campus. We have had this, a lot of students have asked this really great question. Do not feel like you have to participate in this class at home and then make it to campus, find parking, and go to McKay. There are plenty of spaces on campus to make that feasible for you.
And there are some spaces in McKay. If you see a fully empty classroom, you would be able to go in and sit in a fully empty classroom and take your class. There are some study tables and areas. I don't really know. It's been probably a week or two since I've been back in the building and everything wasn't fully arranged yet, but there will be spaces. And, you know, there are other buildings too that are a little closer to the main part of campus where you could, you know, easily find a place to take your course, study, and then, you know, have that relatively easy walk down to McKay. So, yeah.
So we have a question here. The next meeting, I'm assuming they mean for orientation. Is the next meeting only for residents or for everyone? And the answer to that is everyone should attend the next orientation session. So it looks like we don't have, oh.
Do have one more question, it looks like. So
Yeah.
I experienced an issue where I had been put into a Bachelor of Science program when I had applied as an undeclared, but before it was changed, I had been given my classes. I'm concerned that I'm taking classes I don't have to. Who should I contact about that?
Yes, so if your program of study has been formally changed, and you can see that, to being a pre-major, I'm assuming your intention was to be undeclared, your advisor will now be one of our career and academic advisors in the Career and Services Advising Center. So they will be your formal advisor. Again, they would be listed as your contact under your success team in SSC. So go ahead and log into SSC, and you can find the link to that individual's email and make an appointment so that you can chat that through and make sure that you're in classes that you need and be provided assistance in making any changes that you might need to your classes.
Great. And then we have a question about how to access the internet on campus if you need to take classes online while you're there.
How to access the internet. So we have a full Wi-Fi system. So I'm forgetting the name of the student Wi-Fi. Nicole, could you?
I'm looking. I haven't looked at it for a while. I know they just changed it a few months ago, but when you go, it will see the available Wi-Fi, and you'll be able to connect to it with your Falcon key. And it covers the entire campus. You could sit in your car in a parking lot and still be on our Wi-Fi. But I can't remember the name of it, but we'll make sure that we get that and add it to our information.
Right.
Stops working. We do have some computers on campus that you can use in the library. We do have a form that we can get you hooked up with that you can request a computer through IT if they have one available. And then obviously you want to communicate with your faculty members immediately that you're having technical difficulties and what steps you're taking so that they know that you're not just ghosting, right? So there's a couple different things, but definitely communicate. And if you're on campus or near campus, you can always go to the library and try to use a computer there.
In my classes, just so you guys know, I actually have students submit the IT ticket. So when you go to IT with any technological difficulties, so it's computer, it's login, anything, and if they can't, if it's something that can't be resolved right away, like your computer fries on you. I recommend that you go to IT. They will start a ticket for you, and I always have students forward that ticket to me. That's my proof that you're doing something about the problem, and I will work with you, and we can make it up, and it's not a big deal. We try to make it as not a big deal as, you're probably still going to panic, but don't panic, okay? We know that right now in particular, it's hard because everything's relying on technology. So just make sure that you are communicating with IT, that you're communicating with your faculty, and we'll help you get around it. Okay?
And I would also add, back up your assignments. Anything that you've written, have it saved in multiple formats, so that if your computer crashes, you don't lose all that work.
And honestly, get comfortable with Google. Start using Google Docs, Google Sheets, all of it. I need to translate all of my materials to Google Docs as well, but it saves automatically to your drive. So start getting comfortable with that, and you'll lose a lot less.
And if you're using Blackboard for an assignment, definitely do it in Word or Google first and transfer it over to Blackboard, because Blackboard does not autosave, and you don't want to lose all your work in a discussion forum because you got distracted in the middle of it or something like that. So definitely you want to do that in Word or Google and copy and paste it over.
Textbooks out of stock. Very frustrating. So the bookstore actually purchases fewer books than students in courses. And the reason they do that is that so many students purchase their books elsewhere. Those purchases take place usually because it's much cheaper to buy somewhere else. Be careful. If you're using something like Chegg, or any number of used services, be aware that you may suffer with shipping delays. Sometimes those are individuals who are selling, and it doesn't matter to them if you get your textbook within the first week of class. So if you are having trouble getting your textbook, make sure that you communicate with your faculty member. Most of us as faculty are very much aware that this is a problem every semester. I tend to wait to require readings, or I will provide a scanned copy of a first chapter or a first reading, because students will sometimes have to wait for their books, but you have to let your professors know. If you don't tell us, we don't know that our books are out of stock. They might be able to provide some alternative methods for purchasing. No, Mac pages, please, no, just, it's a nightmare. If you are a Mac user, please save your work as a PDF to upload. That's the easiest thing to do, or just do your work in Google. You guys have access to the entire Google suite. So you want to consider that, because pages, if you're submitting to a professor who is not a Mac user, they will not open. It doesn't matter what I download to try to open them. It does not work. That is a great question. Thank you for asking that.
As we
and I did just look on the technology page. Sorry, Hank. And it's FSU Wi-Fi is our on-campus Wi-Fi. And there are instructions on how to connect to it right on the technology website. So you can just go to the search bar, type technology, go to their page, and they'll have instructions for how to get to our Wi-Fi.
So we're coming up. We still have a few more minutes, but no more questions right this second are coming in, but they might as we try to wrap up. I just want to get on and first again introduce myself, Hank Parkinson, Associate Dean for Student Development, and here to support you all in your transition. I hope that you're getting a lot out of this orientation program. Obviously, we would prefer to be in person, but it just wasn't possible this year, and we're doing our best to provide the information that you need to be successful. But I want to just take a second again to thank the team here presenting today. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your days to be here for our students and helping them through this experience. And know that we are, just because the session ends in a couple of minutes, we are here to continue to support. If you have questions, please call, email, get a hold of us. If I don't have an answer, I'll get you to the right spot or person for that answer. And then just to reiterate, the orientation program does continue today. It is for all students, commuters and residents. Transfers as well are encouraged to participate. It's designed to help you with your transition here at Fitchburg State. So at 2 o'clock is campus safety. At 6 o'clock, there's a program called After the Fire. It's a fire safety program. And then your final Google Meet with your orientation leader to sort of wrap things up. And then there will be a virtual program again tonight, sponsored by Greek Life, that will be sent out to you if it hasn't already by Nate Emery, the information on that program. That's it for me. And looks like a couple more questions did come in, so maybe we could wrap up with those. And then Jason and team, you guys could close it out.
Yeah, if you can't find your books anywhere else, make sure that you're communicating with your professors. The other thing you don't want to do is pay through the teeth for a book, okay? So if you're finding a book somewhere and it's priced higher than the price would be at the bookstore, please don't do that to yourself. Books are they're expensive enough. So reach out to your professor and see what they say about options.
Yeah, I've had students in the past, and Dr. Garofoli, you can confirm this. I've had situations in the past where, for various reasons that students are bringing up, and for additional reasons, they don't have access in the first couple of weeks to a textbook. Sometimes the faculty member will have a couple of extra copies that they might loan out in the interim. Sometimes the textbook might be in reserve in the library, and as Dr. Garofoli already mentioned, sometimes the first couple of chapters can be photocopied. There's options. Make sure you are communicating. Do not let those couple of weeks go by without you doing the required reading and work.
And if you do have scans of chapters that are provided to you, please do not post those anywhere on the internet. That's a violation of copyright law, so please don't do that. Okay, they're provided to help you, and we don't want anyone getting in trouble, particularly those of us who do the scans and provide them because your book didn't come. Okay.
So it doesn't look like anyone else is jumping up to ask a question, but please know this. Q&A doesn't end here. Please do feel free to reach out if you are having a hard time accessing any of our contact information. You can always reach out to Hank or the Office of Student Development staff, who you're probably becoming more familiar with over the past couple days. But reach out, ask questions. We're here to support you. And I just want to wish you the best semester. Welcome to Fitchburg State. We're so excited to have you here, in either in person or virtually. And thank you so much for attending. And we'll be seeing and hearing from you soon. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Have a great semester.